Today we're going to demo the Hackathon Intranet. So this is a new take that we want to kind of show off in the more modern editorial type of thing. So me and Steve Corey have partnered up together to work on this. This is a very fun challenge that will make both of us want to work on something that, parts what I'm trying to say. So sorry about that. Pretty much the things Steve is really good at and is something I'm lacking, and vice versa. So let's get started with who we are. Alrighty. So my name is Isabel, a modern workplace consultant at Acquisitive. I have built intranets before, and now I'm currently focusing on the Power Platforms. I have a theme for a beautiful and seamless user design. So you can check me out on LinkedIn or YouTube at Isabel-Power Platform. On LinkedIn, I do LinkedIn Live sometimes with Microsoft MVPs. And for my YouTube, I upload my personal uploads for Power Platform content. And take it away, Steve.
Thank you. And I'm Steve Corey. I'm a back-to-back Microsoft MVP as of not too long ago, so pretty excited about that. I'm a principal consultant at Quisitive, been there for a little over 6 years, but I've been working with SharePoint since it was called SharePoint Portal Server. So pretty long time. Definitely have done a lot with SharePoint. As you can tell, my PowerPoint skills a little rough. The alignment kind of stinks there, but at least you could see where I'm active on social media. I have been known to make a couple of YouTube videos here and there. So check me out there, connect with me on LinkedIn, or check out my website. But let's go ahead and talk about what we've done here. So we had to come up with a theme for this. We wanted to go for the beautiful intranet category, and we had to find a place, a starting point. We had a blank site. We needed some sort of inspiration. We did come up with kind of a technology theme with Asimov Robotics. We needed something to get inspiration from. In my perspective, in my opinion, the public web is a really good source, because while we are constrained in SharePoint with kind of what we can do with the layout, you're not really constrained at all on the public web. So finding what other technology companies can do, what they have chosen for their colors, their layouts, some of those interactive elements, that's what we really went for here, to kind of figure out, okay, let's start with this dark theme. A lot of technology companies are going dark. So and Isabel's going to be pulling up the browser so we could kind of take a look at what we created here. And so we came up with this kind of a dark theme. We wanted to really leverage some of the cool things that have come out with in SharePoint lately. Flexible sections probably being the most coolest thing ever, in my opinion. Certainly as someone who's used SharePoint back in the classic Pages days, this was really fun to work with. We had to think outside the box. We had to try and figure out a way to make SharePoint not look like SharePoint as much as we possibly could. Again, we're drawing inspiration from the public web. So we kind of had our theme. We knew we were going to be doing flexible sections because we could kind of break those rules that we were always limited to, right, in the past. Once we kind of had some of that down, then it's like, okay, well, we're going to be using flex sections. Now we've got to start dropping web parts on here. What are we going to do? As soon as you start using the typical SharePoint web parts, it starts to feel like SharePoint again, doesn't it? So I thought, what can we do to make web parts people don't really see as much anymore? What can we do to visualize data that we don't see that much anymore, or we don't see as much anymore? And I've covered a lot of JSON samples, a lot of list formatting samples on my YouTube channel, and there's a lot of really cool stuff. And I think I've actually featured all of these samples you're going to see on my channel as well. So I knew there's a library, a plethora, if you will, of samples that I can look at and figure out what really belongs on an intranet, what would look good, what would really show off the power of what SharePoint can do out of the box. That's the key thing. I wanted this to be out of the box as much as possible. Did not want to have to write SharePoint framework code as much as I love working with SPFx. I wanted this out of the box. And then the last real piece is the artistic side. How do you make it look good? I can make something work. I can't make it look good. Again, if you've heard me this whole time, I'm looking on the public web. I'm looking at samples. I'm looking for stuff that looks good. I can sometimes identify that, but here I had an ace up my sleeve because Isabel is the artistic type. She knows how she knows color theory. She knows a lot of these other things. So the two of us working together was a really good match to come up with this thing. So we want visually rich components, JSON, flex sections. That's kind of how we started with this. So Isabel, I'll pass it back to you and you can start walking through the web parts.
Sounds good. I saw some comments about no mega menu. I just hit it. So just make this page more appealing. So starting here, we have a a timer web part right here. Something for your employees to engage in the intranet. So this timer web part, when you click on it, it takes us back down here into a place poll. I guess now it's not working, but down here into a poll of the month. I guess it's not working.
That's okay. It's a live demo. There's always
yeah. Sorry. And then moving on the right, this is a hero carousel web part. It is very perfect for a static or external links. So this web part, it is hard coded. So if your marketing team or any department that's managing the homepage, they will have to manually change it. But if you want it to be more seamless, more timeless, and easier to manage, I would highly recommend using the news carousel web part to automatically change the links depending on the post date, the site collection, department, tags, and etc. So with that, we also want to bring in the style that we really want it to display, which is the editorial style. Very big text, a lot of more like newspaper-ish, more modern. With the color scheme here, actually purple is my favorite color and blue is Steve's favorite color. So we kind of just combine into something that both of us would like. So especially with Asimov, big text here, this is something we're trying to assimilate into SharePoint with this ombre picture of the chip. And then we have some dividers, just some extract imaging, viewing this week's event, and then announcing the big partnership with Nivea. And then right below here, we have a really big contrast with the dark purple and the white background here. Not to mention the yellow color and purple are complementary colors. So down here, we wanted to add some news. So every company, I would say in consulting, most companies want to produce news. So before we actually created the intranet, we have brainstormed what are the must-have web parts that we really need in this intranet. We got news, we got quick links. Every intranet needs a quick link because there's just some things people ask for the links all the time. And then moving down here, we have just events for this week. So with this, we have used the new cards. This is called the editorial card, which is perfect with it. So you get to change the icon or how it gets clicked. And right below
Also
it,
one of the new features too. That's another new one.
right, that is correct. Right below, we have the text web part. Just a little brief about what it is over here. And of course, Teams doesn't like us, but there's a picture of a employee showing off the employee spotlight and then project spotlight. So just recognizing and awarding your employees for your accomplishments and hard work, it really shows the company culture, celebrating milestones, successes, and contributing to your company's mission. And over here, there was a Teams, Microsoft Forms, where you can put your input in down here. And then I am going to pass it to Steve.
All right. Yeah, it's interesting that Teams is redacting parts of our intranet. I'm not sure what it's afraid of, but it's all sample data, folks. It's all good. So we're going to continue anyway and talk about some of these other things here. So employee praises. Well, first, let me just add a little bit more to that poll. This was to collect feedback on what users think of the intranet, what things they would like to see, what features they would like to see. It's a really good interactive element so that we can get feedback, so that the site owners can ensure that what people want to see gets added to this thing, because it needs to be interesting. It needs to be useful to the users. If it's not useful, people are just going to stop going to it, right? It's just like, at that point, it's kind of like a regular internet that I've seen. But moving on from that, and we were using Forms. Forms doesn't really embed as cleanly as I would like. If we were to go for a more polished look, SharePoint Framework would be a great option to have that clean, more native interface. And maybe triggers a workflow. But let's move on to the employee praises. So this is one of the samples that I had used because I've seen it before, I've demoed it before, it looks incredible. And I was just having a conversation yesterday afternoon about something like this. An employee praise system like this can be completely free to do. It wouldn't have to cost a company a dime. And they could recognize people who are excelling in their job, doing really well, making a difference in the company, and they could be recognized front and center on the intranet. Really, really low effort, high reward thing. It would encourage others to excel as well because they know they would get recognized. So having something like this, I feel, was really important to be able to shout out people who are doing great. I did have, with all these different samples, I did have some minor adjustments to the JSON. Now, this JSON sample is actually, there we go, there's the praise cards. It was created by Tetsuya Kawahara, who is one of the maintainers of the list formatting repo here in the community. So he's made a lot of these things, so shout out to him for this thing. It is really cool. It's very easily customized. In this case, I think I did some CSS tweaks just to try and clean up the layout a little bit so it looks a bit more native with how we had it positioned in that particular section. So let's see, moving on. We have the, I used the same sample twice. This is from April Dunham. I already saw her in the chat. Thank you, April. This is the birthdays sample, and I actually just used it for two different things. So we're using it for birthdays, we're using it for new employees. It's really the same list structure. It's just changing the data around. What date are you going to be displaying? I was able to change the icon in here. I was change some of the text, so it would be a little bit more relevant. There's email links on these as well. If you click that envelope, it would have launched an email with a customized subject. We can change the subject as well. And so we were able to get double the value from one single JSON sample. I did not have to write code. I used a sample that was already there, completely free to use, tweaked it for my needs. Again, probably a little bit more, CSS tweaks and a little bit of JSON formatting tweaks, but I didn't have to write TypeScript, didn't have to compile anything. I didn't have to deploy anything to the app catalog. This is something that an end user can do with very, very little effort. So we have a lot more recognition here. Birthdays, I mean, granted, birthdays, it's a little controversial, maybe. Some people love it, some people hate it. I don't know that there's any in between, depending on whether they want the attention or not. I'm the type, I don't want the attention on my birthday. I don't want to advertise it. I want none of the attention. Just let's treat it like any other day. And I just hope that no one notices every single year. That's me. Maybe you're on the other side. But it is good to kind of throw that out there. Anniversaries, same thing. In this scenario, I've got these pulling from a list right on this site. In a production scenario, you're going to want to pull from HR data, right? You're probably going to want to maybe sync this from using Power Automate, maybe from your HR system, something like that, so you're not having to manually maintain this data. If you wanted to pull it live, at that point, you'd pretty much have to have a different solution. It would need to be maybe Power Apps, maybe certainly SharePoint Framework can do it. But at that point, you're just a lot heavier of a lift. In this case, we wanted something simple, and of course, it wasn't just a demo. So we had just sample data there. But just know for production use, you would want to go a different approach. Now, the employee praise one, though, that one could be used just as is, because you're going to have maybe a form, maybe just using Microsoft Forms to allow people to submit people for recognition. Maybe it's Power Automate that's pulling from a Teams channel post that's populating this. So this is actually much more appropriate for production intranets. And again, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to develop this thing. The sample's already there. Then the FAQ is the last one we've got here. This one is from Anand Vadivelan. I might have butchered your name. If so, I'm sorry. But it is a really, really cool accordion section. You can change how this thing looks. You could change the grouping. I've talked to a few people already about how they'd like to change this around to kind of do other things. Now, this was before the new AI-based accordion web part came out. If we were to do this today, I probably would be looking at that AI accordion web part. I think it's still in preview right now, but I would be looking to see, is that good looking enough to meet our needs? If so, I'd 100% use that. Otherwise, this one, you've got the JSON code. So unlike the out-of-the-box web parts, you could change pretty much everything about this thing. If you want certain colors, whatever you want, you can do all that just by tweaking the JSON formatting. So we've got all these different web parts that we've pulled together. We've got we had to record all this. We put all this whole thing together and ended up winning the best video presentation award during the hackathon. Really, really cool thing. I was actually at MVP Summit while the announcement was going on, so I was actually surrounded by Joao Ferreira and a few other people who had also submitted. So it was a very social experience for me, and one that I'm not going to forget. It was very, very cool meeting all the different people, both on LinkedIn and in person, who had submitted for this. And we got to, connect. We've talked about our solutions. We got a lot of good ideas for what we're going to do next. And going through this experience personally for me, it really changed how I start to think about making intranets in the future, designing pages, because I had to push myself. I had to challenge myself to think outside of the box, to think, what can I do that could be award winning? What can I do that would stand out visually? What can I do that could make me write less code and leverage the community more? So that's my takeaway from this. Isabel, any parting thoughts before we wrap this up?
All I gotta say is really fun. I would love to do it again. We'll see. Maybe in next year, maybe we'll win it or not. So this is something really spark my interest again of making everything beautiful as I love. So at heart, I am a creative. So this is something just after hours. I don't work on this, but just really love the experience and overall and the whole community's response.
Absolutely. Highly recommend it for anyone. The next time this hackathon comes around, get on it. It's fun.